Hello and welcome. This is the Cyber Weekly. Now, most of the times you've seen so many guys come on the show, and I think I can relate with this guest of this week, especially the fact that um, I've seen that thing when you're beginning your career and then there's so much you need to learn at a short period of time. There's so many deadlines you're supposed to meet and all that. And again, you're also sometimes a student and then you're trying to find a breakthrough. Looking at his profile at the beginning and up to now, you see his progression and also the fact that he has actually been on another podcast before. And yes, it's really intriguing what he has been able to achieve and what he continues to achieve, especially with his networking and also him also being himself. I've seen him a couple of times and he's really one of the young and resourceful people in the country. So I take this opportunity to welcome Sozi Malik. Uh, that was a longer way of welcoming you, Sozi. Hopefully you are not shaken. I was just trying my best to butter you, but I'm sure our listeners will actually enjoy this episode. Um, Thank you for coming on the show.
Yes, Deo, thank you for having me. I appreciate.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're welcome.
So now, definitely, I don't work alone. We have Angela on the show. Uh, so now, when it comes to cybersecurity, but before we dive into that, tell us about yourself and how you got into cybersecurity as a whole.
Well, thank you for having me on the Cyber Weekly. Well, I'm Sozi Malik. I'm a passionate cybersecurity professional and currently I'm a mentor. I'm running some kind of mentorship program. So I have a strong foundation both in IT support and cybersecurity, but mostly focusing on security operations and penetration testing. So my journey into cybersecurity started with deep curiosity about how technology works. I've always been that person who wanted to dig deeper into systems, understand the why and the technical problems that happen in the systems. So those old days of GTA and Road Rush, we used to play games, and now that transformed into understanding systems and how they operate and the entirely what happens. So I officially transitioned into cybersecurity after gaining that solid experience from system administration and IT support. And I've also done a couple of infrastructure projects. I also hold a couple of certifications as displayed in my LinkedIn profile. I've also done several hands-on trainings with organizations in India, in the USA, and my recent one has been with Blacks in Cybersecurity. And what really fuels my path is the realization that security isn't just about technical um, problems or just the technical side. It's about people, processes, and also protecting what matters. So that inspired me to start this journey, and it's also inspiring me to help other professionals through the training, through the mentorships, through the live labs and career coaching. So I enjoy breaking down these complex topics, and I enjoy helping others grow so that we all achieve our goal, we all achieve our aspirations.
Well done, Malik. You
Thank
are really tenacious. How long has it taken you to do all that?
Well, it has been some time because right away from 2017 when I finished my high school, I got scholarship to go for government, but I rejected it. So I joined the technical institute that trained me and mentored me into IT and cybersecurity. So count 2018 up to 2020 when COVID came in, but by the time I was finishing. So From 2020, I started working and up to date. So I've gone through roles, or I've transitioned through IT support, system administration, cybersecurity, and also focusing on the different domains that are in cybersecurity. So it has been an interesting journey.
That's interesting. And which course did you reject?
It was educational physics
Education. Okay.
and math. Yeah, but
You'd
I
have been
opted for IT because it was my passion since childhood. Yeah.
okay.
It's so interesting the way you dropped it. I rejected it. I'm like, guy,
Would have been Professor Einstein.
first dig deeper into your rejection. What was your thought process around it?
Okay, so when you're filling the forms after high school, and then you're like, okay, you put computer science, you put information systems, what, and then at the end you're like, okay, when things don't go as planned, okay, let me put education, and
They
trust
also want
me,
the good ones to be teachers. So when you put
yeah, trust
education,
me.
they'll give it to you.
When they saw, I think a person who was perusing through the forms, when he saw the PEM guy wanting computer science, they're like, no, with this performance, we need more teachers in the country. So they had to send me Mbarara University. But by that time, after high school, you want to really earn some money. So I joined some institute and I worked for them. So I think they enjoyed my code of conduct and the way I carried myself and the way I was doing things. So they called me on board and they were like, we know you enjoy IT, because I told them in the interviews that I like IT and systems. Right now, I told them I don't have knowledge, but I'm really hungry for knowledge and I believe this is my path. So the director called me. He's an Indian guy with some Russian lady. So they called me and they were like, yep, we're giving you the scholarship. Trust me, I couldn't believe it. And that's how I came to drop the education of physics and math. And I started chasing my passion.
Okay, that's good. So you've conducted so many pen tests in different sectors. What kind of network vulnerabilities do you frequently find in East African enterprise environments?
So thank you for that question, Angela. So in my experience, conducting penetration tests across manufacturing, education, NGOs, and a few startups, some common vulnerabilities that I've seen. The first one, most especially, it's the poor network segmentation. So most companies or most organizations are having flat networks. Here, we mean that everything is connected or interconnected in just one way. There are no VLANs. There is no, that stuff of separating the broadcast domain. So,
Subnetting and all that.
yeah, subnetting and all that. So everything is just in the same broadcast domain. It's like having a house and you're having one door. Once you break the first door, you're already in. Actually, it's like a single room. Once you're in, you have access to bedroom, kitchen, whatever. So that's really bad. And in security, it makes lateral movement easier for an attacker once they gain a foothold onto your system. So organizations that I've interacted with, they really didn't have this kind of network segmentations. And usually at the end of my assessments, I make such recommendations. And if there is need, I walk the IT team through how to do these things. But usually, I stop at recommendations. Then the other thing is weak internal access controls. Most of the organizations focus on the perimeter defenses. They strengthen the firewall, they strengthen all the other controls, but internally they don't have controls. So they still maintain default credentials on the networking devices like the switches, the routers, and the different IoT devices. And they also share admin credentials. So once these fall in the hands of, the insiders, these kind of attacks can go without even, someone noticing. Then the other thing is patch management gaps. So some organizations have legacy systems, and these are subjectable to exploits, like the famous Eternal Blue, Print Nightmare, and all these systems they're not behind defense mechanisms like firewalls, or they are not, air gapped. So this leaves them vulnerable. And also they do little to no monitoring. So they use limited endpoint visibility, and they don't have a centralized logging system. So these are a few things that we keep facing on assessments. And good news is that these can be addressed incrementally, starting with awareness, structured assessments, and then simple hardening steps. Yeah.
Thank you, Dan.
According to you, what is usually more effective, especially for an organization which doesn't have that level of sophistication in terms of, putting that defense in depth kind of system in place? Because obviously there are some legacy systems you can't completely remove. We've heard of so many of those issues. So how does someone set up that good defense in depth where you know that, okay, this is there, but regardless, we can actually have a compensation control which you can put in place that resolves that. What have you found, basing on what you've seen, is more effective, especially when it comes to that?
Okay, what I usually tell my clients and the few directors that I interact with. So security isn't like a destination; it's some continuous journey. So you have to keep the consistency. So right away, I tell them, start with just a simple steps. Start with asset visibility. Get to know what you have in your environment. Of course, you can't protect what you don't know. So if you perform simple network scans, simple, asset inventory activities, so you get to identify what do I have, what is running, what is outdated, and what kind of risk does it pose on my environment. So with this, you can get to understand your kind of risk level. Then you go ahead and implement segmentation, or you try to isolate these legacy systems. You don't have to get rid of them like overnight, but placing them on separate VLANs, limiting internet access, using firewalls, properly implementing access controls, and doing proper monitoring and logging, you can be able to detect in case something goes wrong.
And also reduce the risk. Mostly, now it's the chaos that can ensue when there are legacy systems, the IoT devices that have default passwords, and there's no segmentation.
Yes,
it's just recipe for disaster.
Yeah, so also that has to be enforced. The security hygiene has to be upped. So they have to use strong passwords, disable unnecessary services, set up logging, Yeah.
Yeah. So given the blend of legacy systems, and I think we've talked about it already. Yes, because we're going to go into again the same issue of legacy systems and modern technology in the region. What advice do you give to clients? So I think we've already discussed that. What is happening to me today? Because I am doing a terrible job.
Maybe you can just take a sip of water or something to, relax.
So when it comes to Active Directory, is it critical to many enterprises and environments? What are some of those most common misconfigurations you've seen in East Africa?
Well, Active Directory is one of the most used in East Africa, and usually the issues that I've come across, they are overprivileged users, and here we have domain users, the normal domain users being added to privileged groups, like the domain admin groups, which is now the giant of the AD. So this breaks the principle of least privilege. So imagine someone like a receptionist having access or being able to perform actions like adding users and deleting users. So that is not allowed. So with such environments, it creates ease for lateral movement for the attackers in case they gain access to your environment. And the other one is little to no password policies. So most sysadmins forget about these policies of account lockout. They forget the password complexity requirements, and they also forget, password never expire thing. So they set accounts that have no password expiry, and all these open doors, to the famous attacks of password spraying, brute force. These things, they're being talked about, but they still happen. Why? Because no one cares for them. As long as they have set up a user account and you're able to log in, they don't mind ticking those boxes or ensuring that they're following those policies. Then there is also dormant accounts, most especially service accounts. So when employees join and, let's say, leave, there is no that proper offboarding process. So you find that you've worked for a certain organization and you've left, and after, let's say, years and months, you reattempt to log in, and guess what? You still have access. So
They
if it
still love you at
finds
home.
so if it finds someone who is, kind of black hat and
Malicious.
malicious, so you're able to take data or even do kind of massive attacks. So we should have proper offboarding processes. And then there's also lack of multi-factor authentication. So at least organizations are trying to implement that, but still it lacks. So those are a few things that I've encountered. The others, they can be solved.
See, even with the least privilege, you think maybe it's dangerous to give a receptionist those rights. But then also IT, because you find some yes, because you find some IT group. I don't see why IT support should have like admin rights in a system. And and I always tell people who are like in system administration, the less right you have, the less responsibility. I don't know, people fight for all these rights, but you don't need them. You just need to do your job, have what you need, what you need to perform your job, and go home. But people want to have like all these rights in the system because they're IT. It's really not necessary. You're just increasing your responsibility, and also for the system, increasing the attack surface.
Yeah, so that greediness comes back in IT.
People want to feel powerful. But anyway, from your experience, they always say
that
something.
statement, I am IT, eh? Why don't I have access?
People need to know you run that show. You don't need the rights. Don't have what you don't need.
Okay.
So anyway, so from your experience working with SOC teams, how well are organizations in East Africa prepared to detect and respond to Active Directory related threats like pasta hash or golden ticket attacks?
Well, I can say that many SOCs in East Africa are not yet mature, but I'm seeing, the effectiveness rising, most especially on the financial, in the financial sector. The banks are really improving. They're setting up, SOCs, either managed or physical, where they just recruit the citizens of a given country. Others use managed SOCs, where they just pay some small amount of fees, and then they have an external team manage the entire thing. So they are really trying to detect advanced AD abuse, and they're really doing the log forwarding from the DCs such that they often avoid such issues, and they're really doing the detection of the Kerberos and ELSAs. So there is need for more usage of tools. So Splunk has been used, but we need to ensure that we are really setting it up in a good way. Some are having it on site, and others are having it in the cloud, depending on the organization's objectives. So we really have to go deep into having good detection rules, good Sigma rules, good ERR rules, and also have to equip our team to really keep continuing learning, because technology changes and there are some advancements that happen. So as the internal team or as the other team is preparing to, attack, so does our team have to be ready to encounter those attacks. So the potential is there. It just needs consistency training and visibility improvement on knowing what is within our environment and what can we protect and what can't we, and then what is the risk to that. Yeah.
Okay.
Could you walk us through a real-world case where a penetration test in East Africa revealed a major vulnerability in Active Directory or its surrounding infrastructure?
Oh, thank you for that question. Well, I conducted some pen test for a mid-sized company in East Africa. That was my second client. My first client was in India. Can you believe that?
The world's a global village for real.
Yeah, and India is well known for
IT.
exporting expatriates in IT, and some people call it a hot market. And trust me, I went in and got my first pen test from there. So in East Africa, I did my second one, and this network was a mix of legacy systems and basic endpoint detection, and it had a single AD. And on this AD, users could authenticate, and it had file sharing and printer access. So during the internal assessment phase, I performed the quick LDAP enumeration and discovered that the domain user group had read access to sensitive shares. But trust me, there was that one user account. It was a service account, and it had this password never expire. And that was a flag that things are about to go bad. So after capturing the NTLM hash, I used a relay attack via SMB and performed that pass the hash attack using Mimikatz. We all know Mimikatz, and I was able to impersonate the domain admin without even knowing the plain text password of that service account. So I dumped all the domain hashes from the domain controller and then pivoted to other critical systems that I won't go into detail, but here's where it got worse. So using Bloodhound, I discovered multiple users had unconstrained delegation enabled, and you could have enabled golden ticket attack with minimal effort. So the AD forest was completely flat, and it didn't have that kind of tiering or that kind of segmentation. So when I presented the finding to the organization, it was shocked, and not because of those technical vulnerabilities, but because of how I was able to silently escalate all through. So the only alerts triggered were from antivirus, which I had bypassed because they weren't using premium solutions, and their team, internal IT team, didn't know that this was happening. So as a result, I helped them implement some quick several wins. So we had to do service account reviews, we had to do privilege audits, we had to enforce the password policies, disabling the NTLM v1, and deploying a few monitoring solutions and logging solutions. So that's how it was, and it was really interesting, and yeah, I really enjoyed, and yeah, thank you.
That's interesting, especially the fact that pass the hash worked. Because
Yeah,
because most of the times it doesn't work for many systems, meaning it was a legacy kind of system.
Yeah, the environment had some legacy systems.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So in many East African organizations, servers often double up roles due to limited resources. How can system admins strike a balance between performance and security in such setups?
So my main focus, or my take here is let the system administrators focus on system hardening. I've been in IT support, I've been in system administration, server administration, and I know what it takes. separate servers across the different services. So literally they end up, having everything running on one or two servers. So what I usually do, or what I tell other sysadmins when, we usually meet up and try to network. So I advise them to disable unnecessary roles. So in case you're running a server, and let's say you're having FTP and IIS running on your server, and they are not in use. So why do you keep them? So you have to disable them, because each extra role that you add onto the server and you aren't using it, it increases the attack surface and the risk to your company. So you also have to apply the list of the principle of
Blocking
list.
of
Principle of
opening
list.
ports, yeah.
Yes, principle of least privilege. So you have to create those domain specific accounts, just like Angela said. So if you're going to, let's say, be able to create and modify user accounts, so create a user account and assign it only those permissions. So say that they're just enough for that person to perform their role. Nothing excess, nothing less. And then I also use host firewalls and log tools. So these can help you keep track of what is happening internally. Just like I said, most organizations focus on the perimeter defenses and they ignore the internal controls. So this usually has to be implemented such that you can get to know what is happening and who is initiating those SMB connections, and you get alerts. Then the other thing is to implement scheduled backups and baselines. Usually when you have everything running on one server, when it crashes, you lose everything. In other words, you're keeping all your eggs in one basket. So this can be solved when you're having scheduled backups, you're taking the snapshots, you're taking those configuration backups and keeping everything, in order so that you can at least have that resiliency go on in case systems crash. And then the continuous thing that we all do, we have to go for training. We have to train our internal teams. Organizations should learn to fund these trainings, because at the end of the day, if you don't have, a trained and manned team, it's going to affect your operations. So they have to understand that these things happen, and we have to ensure that we have strong passwords. We have to ensure that we have proper patch management. We have to avoid direct internet access on these mission critical systems and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you found that also virtualization helps in enabling segmentation on when you have limited servers?
Yes, of course it does. But you have to do it with caution, because at the end of the day, an attack can escalate from right from that virtualized server then to the bare metal server, and then at the end of the day ending up compromising the entire system. So all these have to be implemented with caution, and knowing what is the company's objective and what kind of risks are we accepting and what kind of risks are we transferring, let's say, to an insurance company.
Okay.
Speaking of that, have you seen insurance being implemented in cyber insurance?
In Uganda,
Yes.
not yet, but I've at least had a few, companies talk about it. I won't mention names, but they are formulating that, and trust me, it will be on market for some clients. I know insurance can't miss out on that. Cyber insurance.
Yeah, I think
That's
that
a lucrative tool. Sorry, a lucrative sector for them.
yeah, I think the thing which is missing currently is the technicalities of it all, since it's actually sometimes some of the things are not so tangible, so it's very hard to quantify them. So maybe that's where the issues are coming in from. But what are some of the common mistakes you've seen sys administrators make in patching access controls, configuration, and that could lead to serious breaches?
Well, usually sysadmins, and they end up doing delayed patching. So this delayed patching comes due to the fear of system breakage, especially on mission critical systems. And there's also that issue of once the update comes in, or once the patch comes in, you just roll it out. And at the end of the day, it ends up for rolling them out. And then the other thing is that too many domain admin, or the shared credentials. So these situations where the ordinary users have access to these domain admin rights on their machines, it's not good, because trust me, pass the hash makes it, pass, when the attacker is passing the hash, it makes it easy for him to, gain access to all these machines. And then there are also default configurations on devices, just like we said, the IoT, the printers, the IP cameras. So all these are having open RDP, they're having open HTTP, HTTPS, and you can just access via the IP address. We all know that an IP address is easier to get. And trust me, you're able to just do simple Google search, and using those default credentials, you're into a device. And then on this device, there is no logging that is being monitored and maintained by the IT team. No one knows, someone is accessing our system from this location, and you're able to maneuver in that system and then pivot from it now into the critical environment. So fixes usually advise is implementing some lightweight patch manager, or even using the W source that comes with the Windows Server. So if you can't manage that, you at least keep track of the patch calendars. We know Tuesdays. Or you can use Microsoft Security baselines and, logging. So if you can't handle a SIEM, there are other logging solutions that you can use, like Sysmon, and yeah.
That's true. I think last year we saw an incident where someone gained access on a system using the printer's IP. Was it Deo? Do you remember? Is it a printer? Oh, IP camera.
Yes, such
One of the
things
two.
happen. Usually people pivot.
Yeah, I
Or
think it was a
attacks.
printer. It was a printer.
Attackers pivot from IP cameras, printers, and the other famous one are these, Android TVs, these smart TVs that companies put at the reception, in the boardroom. Yeah, so these are very good entry points if you're an
The way you're
unaccessible.
you're smiling. Oh, those are very good. Red team members are not easy. But anyway, so how do you approach server hardening in environments where automation tools may not be widely available, or where internet access is limited?
So for such systems that segmented, or that having limited internet access, you can use offline baselines. For example, Microsoft has some toolkit that we usually use, so you can check it out, Microsoft SCT. So that can help. And then you can also use PowerShell. So even without automation platforms like Ansible or Puppet, simple PowerShell scripts can help do the magic. And then the other thing, you can use the manual documentation and checklist, ensure that this is implemented, this is not, and all that. Then you can also use patch repositories and WSOS offline. So you know that I have internet for this limited time. Let me download the updates via WSOS, and once internet is taken away or off, then I'll have to test them and then later on implement them on these systems. Then the other thing is to train the system administrators so that they can identify, so they have this culture of vigilance. Trust me, those are the people that are going to be able to respond before even the incident responders come in. So they have to know what to touch and how to touch it, because in the due course of them responding, they might tamper with evidence. So that is very critical. We have to train our internal teams. Let us not rely on the outsourced, because we never know how quick they can respond. Then the other
Mm.
thing is security doesn't need to be, cloud-based to be effective. We just have to be consistent, thoughtful, and encourage each other because it is a consistency. It's a journey of consistency.
Sure.
Thank you for that. For those who don't know you and for those who are planning on becoming you, where can they start from?
Well, to everyone listening and watching from wherever you are, so whether you're starting your journey in cybersecurity or IT, or you're already deep into the field, remember that security is a continuous journey. Focus on building your strong fundamentals, stay curious, and dive into hands-on practice. All these can be found on LinkedIn. You can search Sozi Malik, you'll see me. And what I can say is that don't underestimate the power of mentorship and community. So surround yourself with people who challenge you, surround yourself with people who support you, because security and IT is much important as the technology and the people as well. So if you want to accelerate your learning and get real world practical experience, I invite you to follow me, join my mentorship program, which I'm going to open up. Currently, I've been running it, with just a few members, but I want to scale and take on a few members. So it's self-paced. We don't have to meet every day. Self-paced. Tell me what you want to achieve, and then I'll show you how you can achieve it based on my experience. So together, I know we'll tackle hands-on labs, real case studies, and I know I can at least help a few succeed. Yeah. So thank you for having me.
Thank you for
Thank you.
giving back. What's the name of the mentorship group?
Currently, I call it Malik's Cybersecurity Engine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'll be
Well,
sharing the link via LinkedIn and TikTok. Yeah, so I'm still in the planning process, but once it is out, it will be available on those two platforms.
Okay.
that's a very innovative name. I'm sure you had sleepless nights coming up with that name.
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you for everything. I've definitely, when you are talking at one point, I was actually like, what, I think if we are on episode 77, if I was on the first episode and you told me I would understand fully this conversation, I would have said no, because
It was more technical.
if you're not a technical guy, you would get lost very quickly. Yeah, because there are so many acronyms being thrown around, and you're like, yeah. And one of the things which used to help me was the what's it called? There's a podcast which shows daily, the daily cyber security podcast. I'm forgetting it. It's part of
The one
uh,
of Gerard Auger.
not Gerard Oga. There's another. It's actually a whole team. It's American based. I'm forgetting it. The Cyber Daily, something like that. Cyber Daily. I
Oh,
think.
yeah, I follow it.
Yeah, the
I
Cyber
follow.
Daily. So they usually used to go deep dive into stories which are going on every day. I'm like, wow. And also watching the Sun's Internet Storm Center's podcast. That's a very valuable tool, especially for us SOC guys, because they usually talk about the current, threats and all that, which are actually live and being performed. So if I didn't have that background, I would be dying right now.
Maybe
Because
to our listeners, they just have,
yeah,
if you're interested in security or IT, just have to surround your environment, the movies you watch, the people you
yeah,
hang out with, and the
yeah.
articles you read. Let everything be cyber, the podcasts you listen to. Through these kinds of interactions, such concepts are mentioned and explained clearly. So later on, you adopt them and use them in your interviews, in your workplace, and then slowly
And
by
daily
slowly
conversations.
you pick up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The funny thing is if you dive deep, then sometimes explaining some of those concepts can be challenging, especially for someone who doesn't know them exactly.
Mm.
Because you're used to having those hard terminology. Recently, I was challenged when some of those technical language was being spoken, and I was speaking them, and people are not getting. I'm like,
People are
I've really,
disconnected to like
I've,
speak our vernacular.
I
Yes.
felt like I've traveled really far in my.
You're taking them to Mars.
I'm taking guys to bus. I'm like,
You
oh
need to know
wow,
how to communicate. Yeah.
yeah. So thank you, Malik. Definitely, I've picked a lot, and I'm sure our audience would have picked a lot. Check out Malik on LinkedIn. He's very active on LinkedIn, and yes, he's one of those guys who you should look out for and learn from. Definitely,
Mm.
Angela will be one of the mentees. I'm seeing her already preparing.
Oh,
Mm.
She's about
Mm.
she's about to send you a long PDF of the her career
Application.
goals.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
so send in those goals, and yeah, I
Mm.
can't promise you that you're going to achieve all of them at once, but slowly by
Mm.
slowly, yeah, I know I've been accountable to myself, and trust me, if we're in a group, I can hold everyone accountable, and you'll achieve,
Mm.
yeah, something.
yes, I
Okay.
can see you managing expectations, but
Yeah,
okay,
it's a
so
true. It's a marathon. It's not a
yeah,
sprint.
it's true. It's not easy. It's not easy. Okay, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, Mimi.
Thank you for
As you
having
can
me. I
see, I
appreciate
can
it.
the parting shots
Mm.
are even taking forever compared to the other conversation. That's how much we enjoyed the conversation. So,
Mm-hmm.
thank you, Malik, for coming on the show. Other than that, I'll see you all in the next episode.
Mm.
We'll see you.